Now does my project gather to a head, my charms crack not, my spirits obey, and time goes upright with his carriage. How's the day? On the 6th hour, which time, my lord, you said our work should cease. I did say so. And first I raised the tempest. Say, my spirit, how fares the king and his followers? You find all together in the same fashion as you gave in charge, just as you left them all prisoners, sir. In the lime grove which weather fends your cell, they cannot budge till your release. The king, his brother, and yours abide, all three distracted, and the remainder mourning over them, brimful of sorrow and dismay, but chiefly him that you termed, sir, the good old Lord Gonzalo. His tears run down his beard like winter's drops. From eaves of reed your charm so strongly works him, that if you now beheld them, your affections would become tender. Dost thou think so, spirit? Mine would, sir, were I human, and mine shall. Hast thou, which are but ere a touch, a feeling of their afflictions, and shall not myself, one of their kind, that relish all as sharply passion as they, be kindlier moved than thou art? Though their high wrongs I am struck to the quick, yet with my nobler reason gainst my fury do I take part. The rarer action is in virtue than in vengeance. They being penitent, the sole drift of my purpose doth extend not a frown further. Go, release them, Ariel. My charms I'll break, their senses I'll restore, and they shall be themselves. I'll fetch them, sir. Ye elves of hills, brooks, standing lakes, and groves, and ye that on the sands with printless foot do chase the ebbing Neptune, and do fly him. When he comes back, you demi puppets, that by moonshine to the green sour ringlets make, whereof the you not bites, and you whose pastime is to make midnight mushrooms that rejoice to hear the solemn curfew, by whose aid, weak masters though ye be, I have bedimmed the noontide sun, called forth the mutinous winds, and twixt the green sea and the azure vault set roaring war. To the dread rattling thunder have I given a fire, a rifted Jove's stout oak with his own bolt. The strong based promontory have I made shake, and by the spurs plucked up the pine and cedar. Graves at my command have waked their sleepers, oped and let 'em forth by my so portent art. But this rough magic I here abjure, and when I have required some heavenly music, which even now I do to work mine end upon their senses, that this airy charm is for, I'll break my stuff, bury it in certain fathoms in the earth, and deeper than did ever plummet sound, I'll drown my book. A solemn air, and the best comforter to an unsettled fancy, cure thy brains, now useless boiled within thy skull. There stand for you a spell-stopped, holy Gonzalo, honorable man, mine eyes even sociable to the show of thine fall fellowly drops. The charm dissolves apace, and as the morning steals upon the night, melting the darkness, so their rising senses begin to chase the ignorant fumes that mantle their clearer reason. Oh, good Gonzalo, my true preserver and a loyal sir, to him thou followest, I will pay thy graces home both in word and deed. Most cruelly didst thou, Alonso, use me and my daughter. Thy brother was a furtherer in the act. Thou art pinched for it now, Sebastian, flesh and blood. You, brother mine, that had attained ambition, expelled remorse and nature, who with Sebastian, whose inward pinchers therefore are most strong, would here have killed your king. I do forgive thee, unnatural though thou art, that understanding begins to swell, and the approaching tide will shortly fill the reasonable shore that now lies foul and muddy, not one of them that yet looks on me or would know me, Ariel. Fetch me the hat and rapier, and my sir, I would discase me, and myself present as I was sometime Milan. Quickly, spirit, thou shalt ere long be free. Where the bee sucks, there suck I. In the cow slips bell I lie, where I couch when owls do cry. On the bat's back I do fly. After summer merrily, merrily, merrily shall I live now, under the blossom that hangs at the bough. Why, that's my dainty Ariel. I shall miss thee, but yet thou shalt have freedom. So, to the king's ship, invisible as thou art. There shalt thou find the mariners asleep under the hatches, the master and the boatswain being awake, and force them to this place, and presently I prithee. I drink the air before me, and return, or ere your pulse twice beat. All torment, trouble, and wonder, and amazement inhabits here. Some heavenly power guide us out of this fearful country. Behold, Sir King, the wronged Duke of Milan Prospero, for more assurance that a living prince does now speak to thee, I embrace thy body, and to thee and thy company I bid a hearty welcome. Where thou beest, he or no, or some enchanted trifle to abuse me, as late I have been, I not know. Thy pulse beats as of flesh and blood, and since I saw thee, the affliction of my mind amends with which I fear a madness held me. This must crave, as if this be at all a most strange story, thy dukedom I resign and do entreat. Thou pardon me my wrongs, but how should Prospero be living and be here? First, noble friend, let me embrace thine age, whose honor I cannot be measured or confined. Whether this be or be not, I'll not swear. You do yet taste some subtleties of the isle, and will not let you believe things certain. Welcome, my friends, all. But you, my brace of lords, were I so minded, I here could pluck his highness frown upon you and justify you traitors, and this time I will tell no tales. The devil speaks in him. No. For you, most wicked sir, whom to call brother would even infect my mouth, I do forgive thy rankest fault, all of them, and require my dukedom of thee, which perforce I know thou must restore. If thou beest Prospero, give us particulars of thy preservation, how thou hast met us here 3 hours since, were wrecked upon the shore where I have lost my how sharp the point of this remembrance is, my dear son Ferdinand. I am woe for it, sir. Irreparable is the loss, and patience says it is past her cure. I rather think you have not sought her help, or whose soft grace for the like loss I have her sovereign aid, and rest myself content. You the like loss? As great to me as late, and supportable to make the dear loss of my means much weaker than you may call to comfort you, for I have lost my daughter. A daughter? Oh heavens, that they were living both in Naples, the king and queen there, that they were, I wish myself, were muddled in that oozy bed where my son lies. When did you lose your daughter? In this last tempest, I perceive these lords at this encounter do so much admire, that they devour their reason and scarce think, that their eyes do offices of truth, their words are natural breath. But howsoe'er you have been jostled from your senses, know for certain that I am Prospero, and that very duke which must thrust forth of Milan, who most strangely upon the shore where you were wrecked was landed to be the lord on it. No more yet of this, for 'tis a chronicle of day by day, not a relation for breakfast, nor befitting this first meeting. Welcome, sir. This sells my court. Here have I few attendants, and subjects none abroad. Pray you look in my dukedom, since you have given me again. I will requite you with the good of the thing. At least bring forth a wonder to content ye as much as my dukedom. Sweet lord, you play me false. No, my dearest love, I would not for the world. Yet for a score of kingdoms you should wrangle, and I would call it fair play. If this prove a vision of the island, one dear son shall I twice lose. A most high miracle. Though the seas threaten they are merciful, I have cursed them without cause. Now all the blessings of a glad father compass thee about. Arise and say how thou camest here. Oh, wonder! How many goodly creatures are there here! How beauteous mankind is! O brave new world, that has such people in it! 'Tis new to thee. What is this maid with whom thou wast at play? Your eldest acquaintance cannot but be 3 hours. Is she the goddess that hath severed us and brought us thus together? Sir, she is mortal, but by immortal providence she's mine. I chose her when I could not ask my father for his advice, nor thought I had one. She is daughter to this famous Duke of Milan, of whom so often I have heard renowned, but never saw before. of whom I have received a second life and second father, this lady makes him to me. I am hers, but oh, how oddly will it sound that I must ask my child forgiveness. There, sir, stop. Let us not burden our remembrances with a heaviness that's gone. I have inly wept, or should have spoke ere this. Look down, you gods, and on this couple drop a blessed crown. For it is you that have chalked forth the way which brought us hither. I say amen, Gonzalo. Was Milan thrust from Milan that his issue should become king of Naples? Oh, rejoice beyond a common joy, and set it down with gold on lasting pillars. In one voyage did Claribel her husband find in Tunis, and Ferdinand her brother found a wife where he himself was lost. Prospero his dukedom in a poor isle, and all of us ourselves where no man was his own. Give me your hands. Let grief and sorrow still embrace his heart that doth not wish you joy. Be it so, amen. Oh, look, sir, here is more of us. I prophesied if a gallows were on land, this fellow could not drown. Now blasphemy, that swearest grace or board, not an oath on shore. Hast thou no mouth by land? What is the news? The best news is that we have safely found our king and company, the next our ship, which but 3 glasses since we gave our split, is tight and yare, and bravely rigged as when we first put out to sea. Sir, all the service have I done since I went. My tricksy spirit. These are not natural events. They strengthen from strange to stranger. Say, how came you hither? If I did think, sir, I were well awake. I'd strive to tell you. We were dead of sleep, and how we know not, all clapped under hatches, where but even now with strange and several noises of roaring, shrieking, howling, jingling chains, and more diversity of sounds, all horrible, we were awaked, straightway at liberty, where we, in all her trim, freshly beheld our royal, good, and gallant ship, our master, capering to eye her on a trice to so please you. Even in a dream were we divided from them, and were brought moping hither. Was it well done? Bravely, my diligence. Thou shalt be free. This is as strange a maze as e'er men trod, and therein is business more than nature was ever conduct of. Some oracle must rectify our knowledge. Sir, my liege, do not infest your mind with beating on the strangeness of this business at picked leisure, which shall be shortly. Single I'll resolve you, which to you shall seem probable of every these happen accidents, till when be cheerful, and think of each thing well. Come hither, spirit, set Caliban and his companions free, untie the spell. How fares my gracious sir? There are yet missing of your company some few odd lads that you remember not. Every man shift for all the rest, and let no man take care for himself, for all is but fortune. Coraggio, bully monster, coraggio! If these be true spies, which I wear in my head, here's a goodly sight. Oh, Setebos, these be brave spirits indeed. How fine my master is! I'm afraid he will chastise me. Ha ha! Oh, what things are these, my lord Antonio? Will money buy 'em? Very like. One of them is a plain fish, and no doubt marketable. Mark but the badges of these men, my lords. Then say if they be true. This misshapen knave, his mother was a witch, and one is so strong that could control the moon, make flows and ebbs, and deal in her command without her power. These 3 have wrought me, and this demi-devil, for he's a bastard one, had plotted with them,